I have been secretive because awakening experiences just not something you talk about. I was taught that it was perhaps a little uncouth to do such, and yet I have had some exchanges of late that have made me question this. And so I'm going to come clean today for the first time on why I've kept these non-dual awakening experiences hidden and share an early Kensho experience that transformed literally everything for me, everything for the better, the way I relate to reality and myself. So if you bother to stick around, you will get to hear about the day that my head fell off. It sounds bonkers, and it kind of is, I suppose. But to start with, I am ordinary, completely ordinary, an ordinary fool. I'm nothing special. I can even shock horror be a bit of an idiot at times. So, what happened, for want of a better word, this is available to ordinary fools everywhere. Certainly, most normal ish people. This is something not that we can own or hold on to, but clear seeing the truth, an absolute and clear Kensho breakthrough. This is not some fiction. It's not only something that happens in the Himalayas or after however many hours of practice, it's already here. And if we use the right key, either by happy coincidence or on purpose, we can all get to open the Gateless Gate. And I'm finally speaking out on this because sometimes these awakening experiences, they can be so huge and beyond belief that if we don't have any reference points, that can feel a whole range of things, but it can go on to feel slightly isolating. Usually not at the time, because for the most part, these experiences, it's amazing, it's fantastic, it's incredible. But on the other side, when we're faced with re-emerging into a world in which we need to operate this dualistic consensus reality, sometimes when we're doing that re-emergence, integrating what we now know absolutely and directly into our relationships with others and our wider life, that can present challenges. And I feel it might have helped little old Francis all them years ago be in this human life more easily, perhaps, if I had heard of more modern day, ordinary, everyday fools like me that I could relate to, having experienced the extraordinary. And even as I say that, the limitations of language are so obvious. These limitations mean that we can't adequately use words, because words in and of themselves are a dualistic labeling tool, this and that, me and you. I can't use those words to fully paint a picture of something that is indescribable, but I'm going to bloody well have a go. And so this is the first of 5 reasons why I haven't spoken out before now, because words just can't do it justice. The word experience tends to suggest that there is a self in a point of time having an experience. And with awakening experiences, it's not really like that. In a way, what is revealed in spite of us. So, language being a slippery fish, some of my words are bound to contain slips and perhaps contradictions. So, struggling to juggle the paradox of words, I've just not wanted to be vulnerable enough to put them out there in a line, try and string them together. And also, that vulnerability of putting your head above the parapet to potentially get shot down or have people pick apart what you're saying. Wasn't prepared to do that before, but here I am. Second reason I have kept this stuff hidden is the pure preciousness. These things that we try not to hold on to are also paradoxically so treasured. So keeping our cards close to our chest, it feels safer than reducing them to some story, some like after dinner tale that we trot out, or something that is in any way for the consumption of others. Turning experiences into a story can feel reductive. However, despite questioning, should I just zip it? I will indeed offer these gifts to you that are so precious to me in the hope that they are received with care, and they might not be, but that's my hope. Please be gentle. Third reason is what a weirdo. These happenings potentially come across as weird, odd, mad, even. And this is precisely why I have to get over myself and be transparent, because they're not mad. Maybe you have had awakening experiences and felt ashamed or concerned in some way. And you are not alone in this. We're in this together. Or maybe you're someone that feels and hears this call to awakening, but you're apprehensive about what form an awakening experience might come in and what that might mean for you or about you and for the people around you. And I want to reassure you, genuinely reassure you, that I have met as well as witnessed literally hundreds of relatively ordinary people having awakening experiences, big experiences, Kensho experiences. And this is possibly the most beautiful, miraculous thing or non-thing ever. And it is to be rejoiced. It is to be celebrated. However, this is important. It's not to be rejoiced and celebrated with everyone. Sadly, lots of people, your family, your friends, your colleagues, even some of those people closest to you, they might not be ready for this. It might well weird them out. It might challenge them, anger them even. It depends what level of consciousness and openness that they are coming from. And this is something we can have no control over. And this has been a big one. This has previously been a huge barrier for me personally. Even now, I can spot that I've set up a whole new channel that at this point in my life, I have told no one in my life about. So welcome if you're here, because not everyone's going to get it. So real discernment is required if and when we do choose to share this stuff, discernment, but not here. No discernment needed here, because I want to know. I want to know about your experiences. Do comment, and I will receive them with the respect and recognition of the treasures that they are. Fourth reason, my professional persona. Being completely honest about this mega stuff was not in an alignment with who I thought I needed to present myself as. And oh, thank goodness, I am so happy to have since retired some of those old roles. And now I can fully embrace the truth here. But as a former therapist and corporately acceptable mainstream mindfulness teacher, there was just this like, am I still going to get hired? Are people going to think I'm weird? There was this niggling incongruency. And managing how we're perceived, it's so exhausting. So F it. I'm choosing with relief to just put it out there and be fully who I am. And that doesn't mean that anyone has to quit anything if they have an awakening experience. Please don't let that put you off. Often very often people are more able, more embodied, more charismatic, more able to do their roles in a playful way. And this was definitely the case for me for a long time. It's just that now, where I am right now is the most fun, playful, truthful thing that wants to be expressed now. So, very importantly, fifth, I'm going to say final reason. It's probably not the final reason, but it's an important reason. It's a reason called Zen Stink. It is significant to understand the stink of Zen because it's something to be wary of. And once you get it, you'll notice examples of it all over the place. This spiritual materialism, our experiences, they're not the point of practice. We don't collect them and display them like trophies. The point of awakening is not this acquiring more, but letting go more fully. And one pitfall of reifying, making a thing of our experiences, is they can make us feel a bit special. And that attitude, it stinks. It's actually going in the opposite direction of enlightenment. If we believe that we are a bit special, that's just, it's a reinforcement of the ego, isn't it? It's where the ego is like got in around the back door and now we've become this spiritual person, this spiritual being. And we can get a new spiritual vocabulary, all the words and the wardrobe, but it can be just a dressing up of a new superior spiritual sense of self built of making this thing of an experience. Spiritual superiority, that is certainly a trap. And you may well have met him, that guy. You know, the one that had the huge Kundalini awakening back in 87 and still carries it around like wearing this technicolored cape of superiority. And hands up, I quite like a floaty dress myself at times, but it's all dress up. It's all dress up. And we are not to take anything seriously, especially once we know the truth ourselves. So, just an ordinary fool here. And yes, like you, I am divine, but also very real and here and flawed and human and fallible and absolutely imperfect. And this is also why we should not put people on pedestals, all people, because people are people. And enlightenment, awakening, it is impersonal. It has nothing to do with the person as the individual. And I'll make another video on that. So do make sure that you subscribe to my very new channel. So now it's story time. I had this one from Zen master Daizan Roshi, and this is the tale of Zen Stink. A glass of milk. We approach Kensho or Satori, these wonderful and fabulous awakening experiences, like carrying around a glass of milk. Day one, in the immediate, fresh from the teat. It is all nice and fresh. If you're into milk, great. Day two, it's still all rightish. Day three, out in the open, it's now starting to get a little bit tangy. Day four, bit gross. And after that, well, it's starting to get a little bit stinky. So, not wanting to go full cheese, that has been a major factor in my secretness around awakening. So, what's changed my mind? I have been inspired by a few people, a couple of whom I will mention. The great smiley face teacher Henry Shuckman, isn't he delicious? He was recently interviewed by the broadcaster Simon Mundie. And Simon had been along to my September retreat, and he then made a video about his experience, and it was called I Had a Kensho or something like that. Anyway, in this video, he's absolutely beaming. And it was a few days down the road after the retreat, but there is still this really genuine freshness to it. I feel it's kind of pouring out of him, and it's gorgeous. And so there's always going to be differing opinions about whether you should be doing such a thing and sharing such information, and there was, but it showed me something. It held up a mirror to me on spiritual snobbery as well, because why shouldn't he share his experiences? And it's a genuine delight to watch. Anyway, in a later video, he is doing an interview with the gorgeous Henry Shuckman, and they discuss the benefits of sharing awakening experiences. And Henry, who I respect greatly, was very encouraging on this. Awakening being not just the preserve of monks alone, it is available to ordinary folk like you and I. And in this interview, they referred to the 4-minute mile effect, in that once the runner, Roger Bannister, broke what had been a perceived human upper limit by completing that mile in under 4 minutes, a shift in belief occurred, a shift in belief about what was possible for human beings. And that paved the way for very swiftly, it became almost commonplace that people were breaking this 4-minute mile. And as we waken to the truth of who we are and we experience the freedom, the joy, the greater connection and the peace that comes with that, well, wowzers, the more people that know this and that know that they know this directly, the better on every level for the whole of humanity. So here goes. So many years ago, a fox began appearing in my meditations. Sometimes this fox would just be kind of wandering in the distance, and other times there would be more intimacy and immediacy of like these fox eyes, and they would appear behind my own as if I was the fox or the fox was me. And what was going on with this fox? Was it just a trickster trying to distract me from my counting the breath meditation or whatever it was I was doing, and lead me off into distraction? And I went through a whole period of time where I became kind of dismissive of this fox, like, get out of here, I'm trying to meditate, go away. So I spent a bit of time with this kind of push-pull of like allowing, and sometimes it would feel gorgeous and lovely, and pushing away, trying to refocus. And I was on a retreat. I was working with the Zen koan, the spiritual question, where am I from? And the fox shows up, and I'm kind of shoo, 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 shoo. I'm trying to focus on my koan. Focus on your koan. Then I had to try a different technique, because this batting away and refocusing, it was being really persistent. And so with this openness and allowing, I was like, go on then, let's see where this fox wants to lead me. And it wanted to lead me on this little journey through some houses and around a lake. And then it is howling at the moon. Howling. I mean, do foxes howl at the moon? I'm not sure they do, but this one certainly did. And it was determined. And the message, the sense that I got, that it was urging me, inviting me to look up at the moon, but not just look at the moon, but with this quality of howling, like allowing the full force of life to move through me. So over and over again, I'm getting this imagery. So when it comes to the walking meditation period, it's nighttime and it's a cold October evening. in the Dorset countryside, and so I'm wrapped up warm with my scarf and my clumpy boots, my Doc Martens, out on the crunchy path outside, my air breathing visible. And I turn the corner and I look up. And it was like it had smacked me in the face with shock. I had no idea that that evening was due to be a full moon. But it wasn't just a full moon. It was the biggest, roundest, brightest, as if someone had lassoed the moon and dragged it closer to the earth. And it was so surprising that I went, wow! But this wow was like the widest wow. My mouth, it just kept going and going and going, as if my top lip went all the way and kept going until my head completely fell off. Clean off. No head. No head, no Francis. Just the sky. I was the sky, and no moon. I was the moon, and I was every star in the sky, and I was everything. And it was the most utterly beautiful, pure awe, pure love. And it was just so obvious and so brilliant and just complete freedom. And what a relief to have no head. And I don't know how long that went on for, because there wasn't any time. It felt like someone had momentarily just flicked a switch, flicking one version of reality off and then flicking a new one on again, because there and then not and then back, and then everything was the same, but it was different. And it would always be different. This idea of being this separate little lonely me that was severed, I'd literally had my head chopped off and lived through the experience, and life would never be the same again. Except obviously, life keeps lifing in many ways. On this relative level, there's always going to be difficulties. There's always going to be human stuff going on. But ultimately, there's a knowing that everything is ultimately okay. Apparently, that time of timelessness was 2014. So if it's a glass of milk, it is like beyond minging, stinky, long gone. But the ramifications of that, they will never go. And it is hilarious and incredible. And yes, there have been many koans and many breakthroughs since. What a blessing. But that original Fox Moon head, that direct experience, that was a death of an old way of seeing the world. It was a waking up from a coma of sorts in the most brilliant and beautiful ways. And it may well sound a bit mad, but it wasn't mad. It felt completely safe. And what was revealed was safer than safe, this ultimate safety that would always be there. And I didn't really feel the call to talk about it at the time. I didn't feel like I needed to, and I haven't told many people since. So there may be this huge tsunami of a vulnerability hangover that's like heading my way. Maybe I'll never even post this. But truth is a fox howling at the moon. And where am I from? I am from here. I am from truth. And whilst I'm highly unlikely to run a 4-minute mile anytime soon, I can truthfully demonstrate what is absolutely possible for an idiot and a fool like me. This illumination of our true nature that is freedom. And it's not always, I'm getting snotty, so excuse me. It's not always as dramatic as your head falling off. Quite often, it is mundane. Like this one time switching off of an air conditioner and the sound just stopping, like a sip of soup. It can be so simple, and it can also be really subtle and gentle, but nonetheless absolutely clear, absolutely sure. And when you know, you know. And that is what I want for as many people as possible. May all beings everywhere be free. I want to hear your stories. Do you know? It would make my heart absolutely sing if any of this resonated, that you would acknowledge that in some way. Please say hi, share your stories, and also by subscribing, you give me the nudge or the kick up the bottom that I need to keep sharing. And your connection, it means a lot. With huge love and appreciation. Thank you.